I'm still in disbelief. 3 players have done this. 3 or more homers in a game where the player was also the starting pitcher. Shohei did it the other night. Jim Tobin, May of 1942. And who could forget Guy Hecker? He was a dude, August 15th, 1886. So we're good for one every century. That's how rare this is. And now we welcome in Jerry Hairston, Sportsnet LA broadcaster, 16-year big league career. Jerry, you got to witness greatness. Was this the greatest playoff performance of all time?
I think it was. You know, no disrespect to Reggie Jackson and the many other great playoff performances. You know, I really couldn't sleep after watching that performance at Dodger Stadium that night. And I just was like, what did this make me feel? Because we were all in awe, not just fans, but players. Shohei Ohtani also broke X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And I was thinking that night and the next day, I was like, what can I liken it to? I guess for kids who didn't experience Michael Jordan when he was going on his epic runs, or Tiger Woods when he was in his prime, that's how Shohei made us all feel that night. For him to go out, first inning, strike out the side, then hits a leadoff home run, not done, goes out there, 10-plus punch-outs, 6 innings pitch. Oh, by the way, 3 8-measure shots, 1 out of Dodger Stadium. Also, that ball out of Dodger Stadium, that's the furthest ball I've ever seen hit at Dodger Stadium. I have to say that is the greatest postseason performance, at least in baseball.
Dodgers now 4 wins away from repeating as World Series champs. What's the overall vibe around this team right now? Because they pretty much outclassed the Brewers. They get by in 4 games, and now they get a couple of days off waiting on the winner of Mariners-Jays.
Well, guys are extremely confident. I just love the way they responded. If you go back to mid-September, or whatever that game was when Yamamoto had that no-hitter lost in that 9th inning, was 1 strike away. The Dodgers offense really was non-existent, really up until that point that month. Something clicked. And then when Clayton Kershaw announced his retirement, that group really kind of galvanized together, and they had like a new sense of focus, new sense of purpose. Now, I really felt they would have been ready for the postseason, but I think those 2 things, with Clayton Kershaw announcing his retirement, these guys are laser focused, and they've been playing great baseball. Great starting pitching, pretty good bullpen, along with Hiroki Sasaki, who's been a lights-out closer, and the offense has been really good. So these guys are focused, they're confident, but no matter who they play, they know they're going to have to play their best baseball, whether it's the Blue Jays or the Mariners.
We saw different teams with the first-round buys approach the layoffs differently. We had the Blue Jays filling the seats for sim games. We saw the Phillies do the same thing. How are the Dodgers going through these next couple of days before the World Series begins?
Well, guys have gotten treatment a little bit. They're going to start wrapping up their workouts. I'm sure there'll be a simulated game. There might be a gray-white game. I know Ichiro played in a game. I think the Mariners had like a practice game. Ichiro got a chance to play in it. I'm hoping if they do have that, maybe I can kind of sneak in and play an inning or 2 if the guys need help.
Attaboy.
That would be cool. But I think, listen, I know it's a long layoff. Major League Baseball players aren't used to this long layoff, but these guys are focused. They've done this before. A lot of them have been through this type of scenario, and I think they'll be ready to go come Friday night.
Jerry, do me a favor. If they ask you to suit up, please don't pull anything. Just stay on your feet. Don't get hurt, okay?
I don't think they're going to be asking me. I may be trying to be begging to get in. They're definitely not going to ask me.
Good catching up with you, my man. Have a great rest of the playoffs, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Great seeing you.
Well, in talking to John Schneider before the game, it sounds like there was no chance that George was going to allow that to happen. And he came in yesterday during the workout day and told John Schneider, I'm definitely playing. And John Schneider was, well, let's see how you're feeling. We're going to run through some tests, make sure you're okay. And then they send him a text message later that night, sent him a text message again this morning, and George Springer replied back, I'm good, stop asking. And that was basically it. And so George Springer back in the lineup, no surprise. This is obviously the most important game of the season for the Blue Jays. He is their catalyst. He was, unless he was completely unable to walk, I can't imagine a scenario that he otherwise wouldn't have been in this lineup.
John Schneider rolling with the same lineup from games 4 and 5. He's got Springer back. That's huge. But, of course, his decision-making in the 8th inning came under a lot of fire, going with Little in that spot, following the I guess, the blow-up early on there. What did you take away from that? It was obviously a huge talking point all over the country. What was your biggest takeaway from that?
Yeah, I think ultimately, look, the Blue Jays understand that there are going to be decisions. John Schneider understands that there's going to be a what-if element to every decision that you make. And they go under a ton of scrutiny during the postseason. But I thought it was really interesting to hear how he manages the what-ifs, that you take the information that you have at the time, you read the situation, and you try to make the best call that you can make. And once you've made it, you have to live with it because you can't control it anymore at that point. And look, he said that he regrets every decision that does not work out, but in terms of a process perspective, they operated the way that they were going to operate it. And obviously the fact that this one didn't work out got a lot more attention than any other. It obviously carries far more consequence. But I think from his perspective, or the club's perspective, the decision was made, the game turned out the way it turned out, and then it's turn the page and move on. And obviously that's really important with the reset here, and the fact that there wasn't a game immediately after, there was an off day in between for the travel, allowed it to live a little bit longer. There was definitely a desire to get back on the field and try to turn that page immediately, but they get the opportunity tonight, and they know that it's win or go home, so they're playing tonight for one more. And John Schneider had a really good line. The Blue Jays have on 99 occasions this year gone on a one-game winning streak, and that's their task this evening.
Always got to find those different bulletin board points, especially this time of the year. John's done a pretty good job of that. We'll see how he navigates tonight's Game 6. One more for you. It starts with Trey Savage. What are we expecting out of him tonight? Because it's his third playoff start. One good, maybe one not so good the last time out against Seattle.
Yeah, definitely be looking to make a few adjustments against the Mariners lineup. And they've got the 6 lefties or switch hitters, left-handed hitters in the lineup against her. And I actually think that plays well for him because the splitter is his best pitch. And it also needs to play off his fastball, though. And I think that will be one focal point in terms of just getting that fastball location locked down a little bit more. Once he's able to finish that fastball really well, the split becomes that much more of a weapon. And they'll also be thinking about the slider as well, especially to right-handed hitters. So he's managed all kinds of different pressures and different stresses over the course of this season remarkably well. The fact that he's here, 22, really hit his first full season of professional baseball after getting drafted last year. He's made a lot of progress in a lot of time in a very short amount of time, and he gets to apply all those lessons, including the quick turnaround here against the Mariners for the second straight outing.
Shai, great stuff, my man. I hope that they can give you a Game 7 tomorrow night. We will find out over the course of the evening, but continued success, and we'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it. Enjoy the game tonight.
That's Shai Davidi with Sportsnet, and now that brings us to our breakdown. Because these guys want to get into Alejandro Kirk. We talk so much about his offense, his plate discipline, what he brings in the middle of the order, but he's also a ridiculous defender behind the plate.
Yeah, he's been one of the best catchers in baseball this season. Over the course of the last several seasons, too, his defense has evolved and gotten better each and every year. A lot can be said, too, about his offense. He can impact the game on both sides. But I wanted to go back to, just like little things catchers do that could change the course of an inning, which can change the course of a game. So right before we get into this tape, I want to pause this as soon as we get to right there, because I want to set this up a little bit. So it's the first inning, right? Gausman's trying to get settled in this inning. We got a guy on second base with one out. It's a 3-1 count to Polanco, who's been, extremely clutch for Seattle all postseason. Now, in this situation right here, you have one out with a guy on second base. Gausman ends up throwing a splitter. We can go ahead and run the tape here. And Kirk gets a call. Now that's a ball. That is below the zone. But one of the things that Kirk does really well is frame. That's something that he is known for. Now you can go ahead and run this tape because he does a great job of getting underneath this pitch to bring it back up to at least create the illusion. Then you get the strikeout. That goes from 2 guys on with 1 out to now 2 outs and 1 guy on second base, and he ends up getting the ground out to Naylor. So that right there ended up changing the course of that at-bat. Just by being able to get that 1 strikeout, change the course of the at-bat, which changed the course of the inning. So you go from potentially having a situation with 2 guys on base with 1 out to 1 guy on second base with 2 outs, and then you can get out of the inning really quickly. And over the course of that game, that ended up being a major factor because it was 2-1, obviously, until the 8th inning, until the Mariners came back. Right. So over the course of that game, that was a big inning right there, and all happened on one pitch. And that's something that, a lot of guys, well, how much value does that come into as far as a catcher being able to steal a strike here and there? That's where it comes into, being able to flip an at-bat, making it an advantage pitcher as opposed to advantage hitter in those situations. And it's something that a catcher, as you work on, even if it's a tough pitch like that, where that's clearly a ball that's below the zone, you still want to do it because you're conditioning the umpire a little bit. So that way, you might get that pitch one time in that game, but that one time might make the difference.
And I was going to say, Steve Phillips wanted to know what the home plate umpire's tendencies are with giving or stealing the low strike.
DJ Rayburn, the home plate umpire in this game tonight, is a guy who does call the low ball very accurately. It's the right-handed hitter, the pitch off the plate where he may expand the zone a little bit, off the plate, east and west as opposed to north-south. So Rayburn plays in. You've got to hit this bottom of the strike zone for him to get a called strike on it. He's not going to give you that one and be able to steal it as much because that's Kirk's bread and butter.
Yeah.
His pitch framing, his best pitch in pitch framing is taking that low one, pulling it up. With Yasevich, the split, with Gosman, the split, that's why he's so valuable. Now, the other thing that makes him really valuable is he's low center of gravity. He is so good at blocking the ball in the dirt. And this has been a factor. This is a huge thing in the postseason, right? Don't give extra base runners, don't give extra bases. And Kirk has done a great job smothering pitches, committing to just rolling his shoulders, keeping it in front, and been a major factor for them this season. And he's got great hands behind the plate, but he really does move around there. And what's interesting is where Cal Raleigh was the platinum winner last year defensively and a great defensive catcher, he's had some struggles this year a little bit. And in this series, there have been a couple of runs scored by the Blue Jays on wild pitches that he sort of jabbed at it trying to catch it instead of smothering it like we saw Kirk do. That one there, he wasn't sure whether to have the glove up, have the glove down, and it kicks away. And therefore, as you had mentioned earlier, every 90 feet matter, right? And so if with 2 outs, if I can find a way to get to third base, I've got a chance to take away the split or capitalize on something in the dirt that I can maybe try to score on. So for Toronto, taking the extra base, and for Cal Raleigh, it's fatigue more than anything right now, right?
Yeah, I mean, it looks that way. Watching those highlights, watching these games, when you see a catcher in between like that, sometimes that's what it takes. I mean, he's played a ton of games. So has Kirk as well. But it'll be interesting too going into next year. Like we're seeing those things play out with the Challenge ABS coming in. Right. I just wanted to mention that because the framing aspect's not going to be. It'll be diminished a little bit, but that value will still be there because it'll be interesting. Like if somebody ends up challenging right early in the game, to be able to get a pitch like that later in the game, if a team doesn't have a challenge, will be huge. So that'll be fun drama for next year.
We've got Cal Raleigh.